Hello, everyone. My name is Fozzie or Cam, and I'm here as always with my co-host Will. How you doing today, Will?
I'm doing great, Cam. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Welcome to the Everything Podcast, guys. And today we have a special guest on, James. James, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty great. And real quick, I just got to say it is an honor to be on this podcast. I've been watching you guys for quite a bit, and I enjoy the topics and hearing your guys' voices and opinions on the topics you guys cover. And I just think little of the podcast you guys have going is amazing.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Yeah. So real quickly before we started the episode, James, you actually have a YouTube channel of your own. If you'd like to mention that and talk to our viewers about what exactly you do there and have them subscribe. So yeah, the floor is yours. Just
All
let our
right,
viewers know.
all right. So I haven't really been uploading that much, but when I do, it usually is and will be uh, mainly video game content. I A while back I did a lot of the Insomniac Spider-Man games, which are very amazing. I'll probably be uploading more content soon, and uh, and maybe I'll differentiate with different things. I've been thinking about doing some Star Wars content as well, but yeah, if you if you'd like to check out uh, some of my content, I'm hoping that these two peoples will put a link to my YouTube channel in the description of this
Yes,
podcast.
totally, of
Yeah.
course. And what's the channel name for our viewers? We'll link it in the description of the video too. But
Yep. The name of it is some random chicken guy.
all right, perfect.
Love it.
Yeah, love it. So today we're gonna start off with something that we actually haven't gotten to yet, which seems to be a theme on the podcast. We're always late to stuff. That just keeps happening, but it is what it is. Um, so yeah, we're gonna start off discussing and breaking down the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, which is a movie that I have been excited for since it was announced, and now I'm even more excited now that I know it's called Deadpool and Wolverine, which is an awesome name, and I much prefer it over Deadpool 3. And based off the very short, well, I mean, it was a pretty long trailer for a teaser, but it didn't give us that much information regarding the plot, which I was completely fine with. I don't want the movie to get spoiled at all. But based off of what we saw, showing the TVA, I mean, showing clips from other Marvel movies that Deadpool was viewing, it looks awesome. I appreciate that they didn't show us that much Wolverine, so we'll get that to look forward to in the movie. But yeah, overall, I am so excited for this movie. I was super happy with this trailer. It looks hilarious, like always, and it looks like Disney owning Deadpool now isn't really affecting the writing. It isn't affecting the gore or anything. So it looks like this is just going to be Deadpool 3, like it would have been with Fox. Except now we have access to all these other Marvel characters. So I guess it's a bonus. Yeah, I think this is the best situation that Deadpool has been in. I am super excited for this movie. Yeah, and I love the trailer. So Will, what were your thoughts on the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer?
So I want to start by mentioning I feel like it's kind of now like an annual Marvel tradition on Super Bowl Sunday for a trailer for one of their movies to drop. I think we had the Multiverse of Madness trailer on Super Bowl Sunday a couple years back. I think we had the Guardians 3 trailer on Super Bowl Sunday last year, the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer this year. So I feel like a Marvel trailer dropping on Super Bowl Sunday has turned into kind of an annual Marvel tradition now. And I first want to start by applauding Marvel. Obviously, Sony has a couple Marvel movie releases this year, but just specifically MCU related. I think the fact that Deadpool 3 is the only, or sorry, Deadpool and Wolverine, I think the fact that that's the only MCU movie coming out this year is smart. Some of the MCU movies have not been doing as well at the box office recently. Quantumania didn't do great at the box office. The Marvels didn't do great at the box office. Quality
Rightfully
over
so.
quantity. Yeah, for sure. quality over quantity, Cam, is something we've talked about a lot on this podcast before. I really feel like Marvel's doubling down on that approach this year. So I really want to give them credit for that. But in terms of my opinion on the trailer, now this is coming from someone who has not seen the first two Deadpool movies. So I want to preface my comments by saying this is coming from someone who's not seen the previous two Deadpool movies. But for someone who has not seen the previous two Deadpool films, the trailer didn't hook me in any way. It reminded me of my least favorite qualities of the Ant-Man and the Wasp movies, with the comedy not seeming great, and the characters cracking jokes and life-threatening situations doesn't feel very believable to me. So on the outside, that trailer didn't look super compelling to me, and it reminded me of my least favorite aspects of the Ant-Man and the Wasp films. But I also reserve the right to go back, watch the first two Deadpool movies, and change my opinion. So I didn't love the trailer, but I'm also totally open to my opinion changing after I see the first two Deadpool films.
All right. So quickly before James gives his thoughts on the trailer, I just wanted to quickly say I know what you're saying when you talk about characters making jokes when there's something intense going on,
Right.
and yes, Deadpool does do that, but sometimes he is grounded, he is serious.
Right.
But obviously, he does make jokes during intense situations. But the excuse for him doing that, I think, is the fact that he can break the fourth wall. I think that is something
Yeah,
that
that makes sense.
it makes it make more sense that he isn't taking anything seriously because he knows it's a movie, right? And that being said, he's not making everything a joke. But yeah, you still haven't seen the first two Deadpool movies, so I think once you see them, you'll get a better understanding of why he's cracking jokes. And I also think a lot of the jokes in Deadpool can't really be aired on TV
Mm.
and can't really be put on YouTube. So I mean, I think they went as far as they could go with the jokes that they could release in the trailer, which and I still thought they were pretty funny. So I think we'll get much funnier jokes in the movie. But yeah, I just wanted to respond to that real quick. But James, what were your thoughts on the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer?
Now, uh, I was in the same boat as Will at the time of the trailer coming out on Super Bowl Sunday, which, side note, was also my birthday.
Oh, awesome! Happy
But
birthday!
thank you. Anyways, I was in the same boat as Will because I hadn't seen either of the two Deadpool movies all the way, and it just felt a bit weird that the characters were cracking jokes in situations which were very life threatening and just didn't really fit. But after seeing the first one, it made more sense because like a huge thing about Deadpool's character is that he's able to break the fourth wall, and he's able to regenerate body parts and stuff like that. So like he knows this is a movie and he knows he's gonna come back. So like it makes more sense that Deadpool would be cracking jokes in times of like when, for example, Wolverine is like about to like gut him open or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely the main thing. And Will, I'm actually super excited for you to watch these movies because I
Yeah.
really do want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, super excited for this. Like seeing all the returning characters in the trailer. I'm wondering though if Cable is going to make a return. Um, he's a character in the second Deadpool movie, played by Josh Brolin actually. Which might be weird because it's technically this is an MCU movie, and Josh Brolin's also Thanos. So I don't know. I don't know what they'll do with that. I've checked IMDb and I haven't seen him listed in the cast, but I'm sure Marvel, if he is in it, then Marvel's being extra secretive, and we all know they do that a lot. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him. Would be super exciting. But overall, super excited for the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. And I think I was watching a video from an industry insider, and from the date of the trailer release, he said in the next 4 to 6 weeks we will get another trailer.
Nice.
And then
Ooh.
once we get into the summer months, he says we'll start getting more TV spots and more because that's just what Marvel does. And by the last few weeks, we're getting like a TV spot almost every other day. So yeah, looks like we're gonna be getting more footage as time goes on, which I'm super excited for. Just hoping they don't go too hard into the spoilers. And one thing I want to mention quickly before we move on from the topic is the leaks that keep coming out. I think Marvel is not happy with that, and I think Ryan Reynolds himself has expressed his disapproval with those leaks. I think it's bad. I mean, I try to avoid them at all costs, but sometimes when you're scrolling, it just happens to pop up. And it's really annoying because they're leaking fight scenes that I want to see in the movie, and they're leaking these. I don't want to spoil it for you guys in case you haven't seen it. These other characters, nothing crazy, nothing groundbreaking, nothing that I would have been completely shocked if I saw in the movie, but still things I would have liked to have seen in the movie rather than some person's low quality video that they posted, when they were stalking the set. And this is this is why this is the reason this is one of the reasons that movies don't actually shoot on or these big Marvel movies don't shoot on location anymore because these people who just snap photos and leak their movies. I mean, everyone complains about how Marvel shoots on green screens all the time. Well, blue screens rather, but same thing. But they go ahead and leak these scenes, which I mean is definitely one of the big reasons why Marvel shoots in studios in the studio atmosphere. So if you want that to stop shooting in the studio, then maybe stop leaking footage when they actually try to do what we want. Um, but yeah, next up here, oh boy.
Oh.
Yeah, so it took me like 2 or 3 days to watch the Marvels because it was so bad. It's such a bad movie. I wouldn't even bother seeing it in theaters because I knew it was gonna be horrible. I saw the reviews. I'm not wasting my time or money on seeing a movie that bad. So I didn't see it in theaters. I waited till a few weeks ago to watch it on Disney Plus. Horrible experience. Thought it was ridiculous. Why did they start singing on that one planet? It was horrid. I did not enjoy watching this movie. And Will, I know you expressed your thoughts briefly on the podcast before, but James, I haven't heard your thoughts on the Marvels. So, and I assume you're in the same boat as Will and I here. So yeah, let's hear it from you, James. What were your thoughts on the Marvels?
You would be correct. I am in pretty much the same boat. The movie was so weird. It was like there was just so much going on, and not in a good way. For example, there are certain Marvel movies that have a lot going on in a different way. Like for example, Thor: Love and Thunder that had a lot going on in it. For example, the God Butcher, the Guardians, Jane Foster,
Yeah.
the all the gods. It had so much going on, and it just made it just kind of bad. But with the Marvels, it's a bit of a different story because it makes it just made instead of it making just kind of uh it's hard to focus on what's going on. It just made it bad. It felt weird.
Yeah.
We had it was like you were saying, the planet where it basically turned into like a Walt Disney movie basically.
What was
Uh,
happening?
like,
Oh.
then you have all the uh Goose the cats just eating all of the the engineers and workers on
Yeah.
that space station alive, basically, and it just felt so weird.
Yeah. Agreed. I guess you could use the excuse that it was supposed to be a light movie, it was supposed to be a comedy, but it wasn't funny at all. I didn't laugh once at all. Didn't even crack a well, yeah, no, I didn't really even crack a smile. I cracked a smile when it was over, and I was happy when Beast showed up in the end credit scene. But that's about it. I I actually don't even remember what the villain's name was. She was so unmemorable. I mean, she. I mean, her motivations were stupid. I mean, She was boring. I don't know. It was horrible. But Will, you can restate your thoughts one more time and go a little more in depth, and you can go into spoilers now.
Yeah, one of the worst Marvel movies that that I've ever seen. I like James. I feel like when we were at the theater seeing it together, I feel like it was almost like we were like laughing at how bad it was, not laughing at the jokes, but
Yeah,
laughing at how bad
yeah.
actually was. So yeah, I thought the Marvels was horrendous. I was not expecting it to be good, but I could honestly say I think it might have been even worse than I was expecting it to be. The writing and the comedy I thought were horrible,
It was terrible.
horrible.
It was
I
terrible.
like the badass Nick Fury, not this comedic Nick Fury. That's not the Nick Fury that I like. Give me the badass Nick Fury, like or even the kind of darker Nick Fury from Secret Invasion or some of the like prior Avengers movies. Like, what did they do to the Nick Fury character? That I thought was ridiculous. And then, listen, it pains me to say this because I love how Marvel is finally having more female-led projects recently. I feel like we didn't get enough of that in the past. We're finally getting it now. And I love what they tried to do with the Miss Marvel show and the Kamala Khan Miss Marvel character. I love what they're trying to do with her. But the her and her entire family felt not believable to me in any way. Her parents and her family should have been freaking the hell out about what was going on, and they weren't. So the entire the entire Khan family felt non-believable to me in the movie. So that's one of the worst Marvel movies that I've ever seen. Marvel should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, I love Marvel. I've loved it for as long as I can remember. But I can't even believe I'm saying this. I am so glad we are only getting one Marvel movie this year. Because
I
at
agree.
the end of the day, I want the MCU to succeed. And in order to do that, they need to produce good movies and they need to have money to make those movies. And they are spending way too much money on shows and movies that turn out to be garbage. I think they spent something around 200 million on Secret Invasion, which wasn't that good really at all. I thought the first few episodes were fine. That just kind of went downhill. It didn't look particularly good, so I don't know what they were really spending their money on. Um, Echo, I guess that came out this year, right? Or did that? No, that didn't come out. That was 2023. Yeah. So yeah, Echo, I didn't mind really until we got to the finale. I don't know what happened in that finale. Well, oh, that was rough. That was rough. But they're spending too much money on shows and movies that turn out to be horrible. So I'm glad we only have Deadpool and Wolverine to look. We can actually look forward to it, and I feel like the hype surrounding it is kind of like the No Way Home hype. So that's super exciting. So glad that's all we have this year. So Marvel can kind of regather themselves, rein it in, focus. Because I mean, we just lost Kang, so they really gotta focus in this year, and it's pretty much guaranteed that that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be successful, and both box office and review wise. So yeah, just excited about that. Excited about the movie, and just happy that Marvel's kind of slowing it down, and then we'll start to amp it back up. And quickly, actually, while we're on the topic of Marvel, did you all see the cast of the Fantastic Four movie?
Oh, I thought that was announced recently. I didn't catch the full cast, but I did see that was announced recently. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic.
Nice.
Love
Let's
that.
see here. Let me pull up the full cast. Um, but in the meantime, have any of you seen any of the other Fantastic Four movies, the ones from the early 2000s or the 2015 one?
I haven't. How about you, James?
I have also yet to see those yet, but since that new Fantastic Four movie is coming out, I'll probably have to go back and see the earlier iterations of the Fantastic Four just to see how different it is from the newer one and see which one's better or worse.
Yeah. So the early 2000s Fantastic Four movies. I mean, they're campy, they're fun, they're little adventure movies. You know how it is, right? They're not horrible. They're cheesy. They're not great movies. They're entertaining. The visual effects aren't particularly good. I mean, they're older movies, and they were kind of just doing what the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies were doing, but worse. Still not horrible.
Mhm.
And then in 2015, we got Fantastic Four, or as some people call it, Fan Four Stick, because of how horribly they did the poster. There was a four instead of, I don't know, I forget what letter they replaced it with. But yeah, if you've ever watched a review of that Fantastic Four movie, you've definitely heard someone mention that. But I watched it when I was younger, then I rewatched it. It's not a great movie. It's an origin story, and it's not a very good one. I think the performances are fine. I think Doctor Doom's not even Doctor Doom. I don't know how they messed that up. Even the early 2000s did that better. So yeah, none of the Fantastic Four movies that we've gotten have been great. So my fingers are crossed here for the new one. All right, so I have the cast here. Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. Super happy with that. Love Pedro Pascal and all of his work, obviously, as the Mandalorian. I saw him in a Nicolas Cage film that came out 2 years ago called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. We talked about it on the podcast. He was fantastic in that. And then we have Joseph Quinn of Stranger Things fame
Ooh,
playing the
nice.
Human Torch, which will be super exciting. All right, now I have to try to pronounce this. Ebon Moss Barak as the Thing. I don't know much about him, but watching other people react to the cast list, everyone has seemed fine with him playing the Thing, and everyone seems confident in him as the Thing. Me personally, I'm going to have to look into more of his work. But based off what I've heard from other people, he's going to be a good Thing. And finally, as Sue Storm, Invisible Woman, Vanessa Kirby, of obviously Mission Impossible fame, which you have. Did you finish Mission Impossible, Will?
I I didn't finish it, no, but
Okay.
I have seen a few of them, and I think you've seen a few too, James, haven't you?
I've seen like one or two of those movies. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Vanessa Kirby plays a character called the White Widow in both Fallout and Dead Reckoning Part 1. And she's not a main character in the movie, but she's a supporting character, and she's really good. Um, and I think I haven't seen, I don't think I've seen any of her other movies, but I'll definitely do it before this comes out. And based off what I've seen from her in Mission Impossible, I'll be excited to see her in Fantastic Four. So yeah, James, have you seen Madam Web?
I was thinking about seeing it, but then after hearing all of the reviews and watching the trailer back again, I was like, "Is this really? Is this? I don't even. Is this recording of uh, a few women in superhero costumes for like a little bit of this movie? Is it worth my money? Is it? I just decided no, it's not. I did not see it.
Yeah, and well, I know you haven't seen it either. Now I am not spending my money on that movie. Not a chance. Not happening. Um, so yeah. What happened? I actually mentioned on the podcast because at the time when I mentioned it, we only had uh little plot details. People were saying it was gonna be a multiverse movie, which I think it is. So they got that part right. And then people were saying Toby and Andrew were going to be in it, which got me super excited. They were not in it, which is disappointing. Oh, and they also said it was going to be good, which it wasn't. So yeah, I talked to you about it, Will. You said that you weren't super confident in it, as it was a Sony movie, and they notoriously haven't been making very good Marvel movies. You were right, Will. I apologize for even ever having that take. What a horrible take that was. Oh my goodness. I thought it was going to be completely different from what we got. And I haven't seen the movie. But at some point, I will muster up the courage to watch it. But I have a feeling. I don't know if it's just me, but I think I'm going to enjoy it more than the Marvels. Just because I can laugh at it, and I couldn't
Okay.
even laugh at the Marvels. I know
Right.
you guys said you could laugh at how bad it was. I couldn't even bring myself to do that. It was so bad. I was just trying to get through it. Because I need to see every Marvel movie as a Marvel fan. I just had to push through. Um, but yeah, I've also heard that the Craven the Hunter movie. Have you guys seen the trailer for that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've actually heard there's this he's on YouTube 3C Films. He breaks down movies. He has inside scoops from a lot of outside sources, and he is getting reports that Venom 3 and Craven aren't actually bad movies. Which, based off my takes on Madam Web, they said that about that too, so I don't want to believe that fully. But hearing that, that could be a disaster. Alright. So, yes, sure, we want to watch a good movie, right? But we also don't
Mm-hmm.
want Sony to own Spider-Man anymore. We want just give just let the MCU take control of the character because have you any of you heard about the drama regarding the Spider-Man 4 movie?
What's been
Yeah, I've heard quite a lot about it.
Yeah. So James, you're familiar with it, but Will and our viewers, I'll fill you in. So basically, Sony wants to do one thing where they want to make it another big No Way Home type movie, right? And bring back Toby and Andrew. Whereas the MCU wants to get rid of John Watts. They want to make a more grounded street level movie that most of the fans want. So it's kind of split right now, and I think Tom Holland wants to do what the MCU wants to do, which is probably what they'll end up going with, unless Sony starts to get confident, which could happen if Venom 3 and Craven the Hunter are good.
Oh man.
So there is
Yeah.
part of me that wants those movies to be good because I like the Venom movies and I'm intrigued by an R-rated Marvel movie, I guess. But I mean, I also don't want them to make a horrible Spider-Man 4. That's my dilemma there. But yeah, I am disgusted by Madam Web. I don't know what happened. I mean, I feel bad for the actors and actresses that were in that movie. I mean, I don't know what the decision making behind that was, but it came out. It got horrible reviews. Currently sitting at a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, a nice little 12, and
Yeah.
it is sitting at a 3.8 on IMDb, which is horrible. So yeah, really not a huge fan of what I've been seeing from Madam Web, and I know people who have actually seen the movie are also not fans of it either. No, no problem. Just talking about the Bad
Okay.
Batch.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So, the Bad Batch does show up briefly in season 7 of the Clone Wars, and they feel it feels different. Like it feel like uh the Bad Batch in season 7 of the Clone Wars feels very different the from the Bad Batch in their series. Which, I mean, it would make sense considering in the Clone Wars, they're more of side characters, which
Yeah.
whereas with the 3 seasons of the Bad Batch in the name, the Bad Batch, they are the main. They are the main. They're the main crew, the main characters. So it would make sense that they have more flushed out characteristics and go into and they just have a different vibe about them. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about watching it. There's nothing that's really drawing me to it. Maybe eventually I'll watch it. But Will, I don't remember if you've actually watched it. Have you?
I started watching the. I watched the first two episodes of season one, but it just didn't quite hook me like the Clone Wars
Yeah.
or like the Clone Wars seasons that I've watched did, and I've watched all of Rebels, and that hooked me right from the start. I also really enjoyed Tales of the Tales of the Jedi. I thought the characters were a bit more flat compared to some of the other Star Wars animated shows. So it's not like I thought it was bad. It just wasn't quite enough to make me want to say I'll sit down and watch all three seasons.
Yeah. I get that, and I think at some point I will watch it. But based off of what I've seen, and I I I don't think it'll live up to, I don't know, the Clone Wars or Rebels or Tales of the Jedi for that matter. But I'm willing to be surprised. So yeah, fingers crossed that it's good when I watch it, and maybe I'll enjoy it. But glad to hear that you're a fan of it, James. So yeah, I might give it the first episode a try soon. But next up here, we just the trailer for X-Men '97 came out the other day, and I've actually never seen the original X-Men show. And Will, you haven't either, right?
No, I haven't.
James,
No.
have you, James?
No, have not seen it. Mm-mm.
Alright, so here's my dilemma. I want to watch it, but there are also a lot of episodes. I want to watch X-Men '97, especially because of Deadpool and Wolverine. But I don't know. There are a lot of episodes of the original show. Do you guys plan on watching it before X-Men '97, the original series? Do you guys plan on watching that?
Uh, I don't think so. I mean, if it's a lot of seasons, I'm not sure I would want to make the log through all of them. How about for you, James?
Yeah, I probably won't watch. I might. I won't watch all of it, but maybe I'll watch a little bit of it here and there. Maybe try and find out like which episodes are like more like crucial to the
Yeah.
plot of the characters and like the whole like seasons and series. But I don't think I'm gonna be able to sit down and watch all of the episodes and seasons and stuff like that of the original X-Men series.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do as well. I think I'll probably just end up watching a summary or something on YouTube, just so I can kind of get the gist of what's going on. But yeah, like you said, James, I might watch an episode here or there, kind of get the feel of it. But based off what I saw from the X-Men '97 trailer, looks like an entertaining show. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see if it's gonna connect to Deadpool and Wolverine at all. If there's gonna be any characters in there that are the characters from X-Men '97. That'll be interesting to see for sure. But as of now, I don't plan on watching the full original series. But yeah, like I said, I'm definitely excited for the X-Men '97. Oh yes, next here, we've been actually meaning to talk about this for a few weeks now, Will. This got confirmed the other day. Um, so we're all fans of Top Gun Maverick here. Great conclusion to the two Top Gun movie series. But then we received word that there was going to be a Top Gun 3. And now I just want to get this off right off the bat. I don't think was a great decision, but I don't think it's going to be a bad movie. I don't think Tom Cruise would ever. He loves cinema, he loves film so much. I don't think he'd ever sign on to a movie that he thought was going to be just a lazy sequel. I mean, he's never done it in the past. I mean, Edge of Tomorrow, one of his best movies that kind of ended on a cliffhanger. He's got the sequels just now starting to get into development. Um, so yeah, I don't think he would sign on to a project, or even because he's a producer on these projects, he's an executive producer. He wouldn't produce a movie from his production company uh, that he thought was going to be bad. So I trust Tom. I think at the end of the day, it will end up being a pretty good movie. You know, I think we have to see the trailer and everything. We have to see what they're gonna do, if they have anything new that they're gonna add. But yeah, definitely excited to see what happens because I loved Maverick, and I actually really enjoyed the first Top Gun as well. But Will, what were your thoughts on the Top Gun 3 announcement?
Yeah, so I also like the original Top Gun film, and I love Top Gun Maverick. I think it's hard to get a better action movie than Top Gun Maverick, and one of the reasons that I love it is I feel like it's an action movie, but it doesn't always feel like one because I feel like it's the human story above the action for that entire film. So I really feel it's tough to get a better action movie than Top Gun Maverick. I mean, it hasn't been confirmed whether I don't believe it's been confirmed if Tom Cruise will be the star of this movie or not. So I'll be curious to see what happens there.
Oh
But
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it could be
personally,
Miles Teller.
it could be him. But personally, they have got to prove it to me here. I hear what you're saying, Cam, about Tom Cruise,
Yeah, you're right
not
though. Yeah.
not getting involved in a project that he wouldn't think would be good. One of the reasons I'm giving the new Karate Kid movies some benefit of the doubt this year is I know that Ralph Macchio is very protective of the Daniel LaRusso character, and I don't think he would agree to be in another Karate Kid movie if it wasn't going to be at least good. So I hear what you're saying kind of along those similar lines with Tom Cruise, Cam. But personally, my standpoint ever since Top Gun Maverick came out was I don't want to see another Top Gun movie. Don't do another one. This is the perfect ending. It's even better than the original movie. Don't mess with it. So maybe it'll be good and maybe they'll surprise me, but they have got to prove it to me because I am not a fan
Yeah,
of this announcement right now.
that actually never occurred to me. It could just be a Miles Teller movie. He could be the star. Whew. Imagine if Tom Cruise isn't involved in it at all. That would be wild. But if he is involved, I think it'll be a good movie. But James, what's your take on the Top Gun 3 announcement?
So I actually had no idea that there was going to be a third Top Gun movie. Probably for the one reason I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. I did enjoy seeing. I only saw the second one. I'm pretty sure. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was really nice. I even went back and like watched a few like summary videos about the first one, and I liked that one as well. And kind of agreeing on what Will said. Uh, I did think from hearing about like what goes on in the first Top Gun movie, and then seeing what goes on in the second. I felt like that felt very very complete, and hearing that a third one was coming out, uh, I was a bit I was questioning like why add a third bit of it when like the first and second going together it felt complete. It felt perfect.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the ending of it, it felt perfectly fine ending where it did. But hearing that like maybe it won't be Tom Cruise as the lead role, that would be interesting to see how that would play out. And I'll definitely have to rewatch both of the Top Gun movies again in for before seeing the third one.
Yeah. I agree with you there, James, for sure. But I also wanted to mention, I think Miles Teller is a good actor. But if this movie just ends up being, I guess, a studio movie, basically, I don't even know if he'll be able to save it. So yeah, definitely hoping that Tom Cruise is involved. Um, and now I just want to switch up topics completely and kind of go off script here, and this can just be a quick segment. But I thought this would be a fun little thing because, James, you mentioned that you've played the Insomniac Spider games. I have as well.
Mhm.
I've played the 2018 one and Miles Morales. I haven't played the second one as I don't have a PS5 yet, as they're still ridiculously expensive. Um, but I've enjoyed both games. I think they're super fun. I love the story. I played all the DLC, and I replay it from time to time. It's super fun. I like just swinging around. I mean, it's a super fun game. But you mentioned that you stream it. So I just
Mhm.
want to hear what are your thoughts on the games, the Miles Morales and the 2018 Spider-Man games.
I so uh a little fun fact: the very first console I got for, or the very first game I got for my PS4 was the first Insomniac Spider-Man game from
Same here.
2018, and I loved it. It was so awesome. Like words can't describe how much I enjoyed being a fifth grader, coming from school and booting up my PS4, swinging around as Spider-Man, and it was awesome. And uh, the the DLCs were pretty good as well. I liked this. I liked the story. Wasn't the most it didn't feel as like attached to the main story, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
with like Hammerhead and the Magia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was still a pretty good DLC for what it was. And I was so happy that they remastered the game as well for PS5. I don't know if it was for the PS4, but I
I
know it
don't
happened
think
on the
so.
PS5, and I I enjoyed replaying the main game as well. It was so awesome, and I it just brings a smile to my face just thinking back to when I originally played the 2018 Spider-Man game. The just just the story, the mechanics, the characters, everything felt amazing about it. It felt spectacular, and playing uh, the the second game in this franchise, Spider-Man Miles Morales, which was the first game I got for my PS5. That it felt like a bit of it just felt like the same kind of plot.
Yeah,
It felt like it felt like the same main plot
I kind
of
of.
how like
Yeah, so.
for example. Oh,
No, go ahead,
sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so like for example, in the first game, it was about a gang. It was about Martin Lee's demon gang wreaking havoc about throughout New York, and this basically like this super army, Sable International coming in and turning the streets of New York into a war zone, basically. And by the end, it feels like all hell's broken loose, basically. And Spider Man's got to go around and clean everything up.
Yeah.
And in Miles Morales, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same plot. A gang of thugs known as the Underground, uh, run by Miles Morales' friend Finn, are wreaking havoc throughout New York, and an agency of super soldiers known as Roxxon Energy, which going back to which kind of connecting to what the brief what we were when we were briefly mentioning Echo. There was a quick reference to Roxxon Energy in the final episode of Echo when she
Was there?
goes, yeah, she's going into like so it was on the last episode where she's riding in on her motorcycle to a gas station or diner or something like that,
Hmm.
and the company of that gas station is Roxxon Energy, and I
Wow.
loved seeing that.
I didn't
It
even
was so
notice.
awesome. Yeah, it was like it had the little logo as well. It was so tiny of a detail, but I loved seeing it
I can't believe I didn't
just from playing the
notice.
Miles Morales game.
Yeah.
And uh,
Wow.
yeah, back to what I was saying. Both both the first Insomniac Spider-Man game and Miles Morales, they felt like they felt very similar with the bigger picture of the plot of
Hmm.
both games, but it was still both of them were still very enjoyable, and going into Spider-Man 2, holy moly, it was awesome seeing that. And like the best part, like one of like first of all, they didn't go for like the same generic plot of there being two forces kind of like wreaking havoc. I mean, they kind of did that, but
Nothing
it
too
was
no, no no big spoilers by the way, because I still haven't
I
played it.
won't
Okay.
spoil anything
Thank
about
you.
it, but I'll just go over like
Thank you.
like just broad thoughts about it. I thought the new mechanics that they introduced to the gameplay of like Spider-Man and Miles Morales, the different transversal combat and everything else. It felt so fresh and new. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Seeing all the different skins and the alternative versions of the skins. It felt so it felt like I felt like a kid in a candy shop looking through all the different things. I could I don't know have a black and white version of the Spider-Man 2099 suit, or I could have the No Way Home Tom Holland suit or something like that. It was awesome. And and don't get me started on the villains. Craven the Hunter. I loved his story. I loved his origin. I loved everything about it. He was such a great villain. And Venom. That it felt it like it felt amazing seeing him, and like the design that they went for, the story that they went for him. It felt unreal. It felt unreal playing the game, playing against Venom. It was awesome. And uh it was just so awesome. The different types of enemies. There wasn't one thing I did notice was um they kind of more of led it towards Miles, uh they kind of had a lot more I felt like they had a lot more side missions and stuff like that based around Miles, which would make sense because I mean, I guess they're kind of I think there was some talk of like, yeah, there was some talk of like making Miles Morales 2, like
Mhm.
after Spider-Man 2, maybe in the DLC that's coming up for Spider-Man 2, they'll kind of lead it into Spider-Man Miles Morales 2, kind of like how they did for the DLC of Spider-Man 1, where they kind of slowly uh, said they slowly were like Peter was slowly training Miles to be the next Spider-Man, or a Spider-Man trainee, basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what they're gonna go for in that's what they're gonna go for in the coming up DLCs and games and
Okay.
stuff like that. But no matter what they do, I am all up for it. Insomniac has blown it out of the water for Spider-Man video games, in my opinion. And uh, I I'm excited to see what they come up with in the future.
Yeah, I just want to give my thoughts quickly on what you just said, because we don't talk about video games often on the podcast. So my thoughts on I love the first Spider-Man game, like I said, but Miles Morales I enjoyed, but it kind of just felt like I didn't really feel like its own game because it shared a lot of the same physics as the first one. Whereas Spider-Man 2, I've had the chance to play it a little bit, none of the story, just roam around, um, do a few not side missions, like when enemies pop up on the map. Do that. I
Like
was
the
able to
crime.
fight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was able to do that, and the physics in the second Spider-Man game are they're ridiculously good. Um, the fighting mechanics they're ridiculous, but that's not what I want to talk about. But it's completely different. The traversal is completely different in that because you have the web wings now than in
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I felt like you said Miles Morales was a lot of the same, and I feel like what they were doing, they were just introducing us to the character so we could get the vibe of who Miles was more in depth because he'd been introduced in the first Spider-Man game, and we got his origin story, so there wasn't as much to go in depth on. But I still enjoyed it. The story was short, and there's no DLC. But for what it was, I enjoyed it. I love the snow. I think it looks really beautiful. Um, but yeah, eventually I will get a PS5, and eventually I will play all of the Spider-Man 2 story. And when I do, I will be thrilled because I know it's going to be great. Super amped for that for when I play it eventually. But based off what I played in Spider-Man 2, it was awesome. A completely different fighting style. And I was playing as Peter, and Miles just showed up to assist me in my fight, which I did not know that they
Yeah,
did. And it caught me off guard, and it was awesome. Um,
yeah.
So yeah, it just feels like a real world in Spider-Man 2 based off what I've played. Super excited to play that. But yeah, glad we could have this little video game session segment here, um, and James could show off his wisdom on the Spider-Man games, which we don't often talk about on the podcast. But moving on from that, we have Ahsoka season 2. Season 1 I loved, and I'm a huge fan of Rebels, and Will, I know you are too. James, have
Oh
you seen
yeah.
Rebels?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the Rebel series and have enjoyed the Ahsoka series as well. And it wasn't okay. It wasn't the most exciting of series for me. But for when the times for the when it did uh get when it did get really good, I really enjoyed it a
Yeah,
lot.
for sure. I was a huge fan of it. I mean, it's the first time we've seen Anakin Skywalker on a poster for anything since Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, that's crazy. All the scenes with him were awesome, and all the scenes with the Rebels characters I thought were great. But where was Zeb? Where was Zeb? He was
That's a
in
very good question.
He was in The Mandalorian. They set it up perfectly. They showed him, and that could have been a perfect setup. They could have. Oh yeah, that's Zeb. We saw him in The Mandalorian. Yep. Not even mentioned. I don't know what was going on with
No,
that.
I think he was mentioned. I think there was one time where I think Sabine might have said something to Ezra, and I believe episode 6. I
Okay.
remember her saying something about Zeb, but that is true that he was never put on screen, which was disappointing to me.
Yeah, for sure. I was also
Mhm.
disappointed that Kanan wasn't even mentioned, because he was one of, if not the best character. Well, yeah, one of the best characters in
I
Rebels.
remember a mention from I remember a mention about him too. I think it was Hugh Yang, the droid. I remember a line
Well, yes.
where he said
Yeah,
his father
he was
was
mentioned at the.
Kanan Jarrus, a Jedi, so at least he got a brief little
Yes,
mention.
his
Yeah.
name got said, but that's not exactly what I wanted.
Right.
I
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
I mean, I would have liked a flashback. That is what he deserves. I mean, he deserves to be shown in live action at some one way or another. He's such a great character. Um, and but now we have season 2 to look forward to, which I don't even think has really even started, even getting close to production yet. Um, which, I mean, I might be graduated from high school by the time it comes out, but at least we'll still have it. Um, so yeah, super excited for season 2 of Ahsoka. Hoping that we get Zeb and Kanan back. Um, I'm also obviously hoping we get to see more Anakin, because he was actually fantastic. I thought Christensen totally redeemed himself for all of his poor acting, and which I think I said on the podcast before, I don't think is exactly his fault. I think it's George Lucas's lack of skill when it comes to being a director. I think that's the main reason for Hayden Christensen being portrayed as a hard actor in the the original prequels. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I thought he was great in this. So yeah, super excited for Ahsoka season 2. Yeah, definitely. Will, quickly, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts that you think that will happen in Ahsoka season 2? You too, James. Feel free to uh, give any ideas of plot that will happen in season 2 of Ahsoka.
Well, James, I know that you are an expert when it comes to predictions and everything of that matter. So I'll be quick to be sure to give you the floor. But I think they're going to have to find a way. So Ray Stevenson, who played Balin Skull, obviously he passed away. So I think they're
Rest
going to
in
have.
peace.
I think they're probably going to have to find a way to kill him off or find a way to have him still be alive but not seen on screen. I'll be curious to see what they do with that.
Yeah,
And
Sam.
I know this is obvious, but I think Ahsoka and Sabine will 100% be back in the main galaxy by the end of season 2. How? I don't know, but I think them getting out of there will be a major storyline for season 2. And then gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. Shin Hati, Balin Skull's
Yeah.
apprentice.
Mhm.
they teased Ahsoka possibly becoming her master in season one. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in season two because they've teased it. So, what are some of your thoughts, James?
Now, going back to what you said about Ray Stevenson, it was very unfortunate hearing that he passed away right after Ahsoka season one was finished, and I can see like three ways they can pull off uh, Balin Skull's story. Either one, they just don't show it at all.
Yep.
Two, uh, maybe they pull like a something that they did with Cara Dune's character in season 3 of The Mandalorian, where they were just like, oh, uh, she's off doing something else.
Yeah.
She's not here. Maybe they'll do something like that. Like, oh, Balin Skull's doing this. He's over here. You don't see it. I assure you, he's over here. You can't see him, but he's right here.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll go with something like recasting Balin Skull, or maybe doing like a deep fake like they've been doing with like they did with Luke Skywalker
Yeah.
in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. I think they also did that for Grand Moff Tarkin and Rogue One. I
Yep.
think could be wrong about that, but I think they did that. So yeah, Lucasfilm has definitely done that before with deep fakes, and I would not be surprised if they did that. And honestly, I would be kind of upset that they don't continue Balin Skull's story, because
Yeah.
uh, I actually like. I'll be honest, Balin Skull's kind of side story, his like basically like the B plot
Mm.
of Ahsoka season one, that had me interested, because like they're in a completely different universe, and or yeah, different galaxy, and there's some kind of sense or pull that Balin Skull needs to go to, and it ended up being uh the father and the son from the Clone Wars, which are like the embodiments of like the Force and like the balance and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Some of my favorite
And
episodes involve them.
yeah, and like that's like continuing that could open a whole new can of worms into like the live action versions of like Star Wars, and that would be so awesome to see. Imagine if we got like characters like the mother in live action, which is like, I think she's basically like the embodiment or something of death
Yeah.
in the Star Wars canon. So I would be thrilled to see that. And but going on to like the main characters of like Ahsoka and Sabine, they'll probably kind of be kind of like the Bruce Banner in Infinity War, where they basically have to uh go back to they're basically like sent back to the main Star Wars
Yeah.
galaxy, warn everyone that Thrawn is coming, and he's bringing hell to everybody. So he's so I would be which then could also be our lead into which could be lead our lead in to the Mando and Grogu movie, which I'm pretty sure is the name of it is called like Heir to the Empire, which was going to be the name of the sequel trilogy before Star Wars was bought by Disney, which would introduce things like Coruscant. It introduced characters like Darth Talon. Darth Maul was going to be the main villain
Yeah, I heard
of that,
about that.
which I that would have been so sick
I
to see.
know. I
Darth Maul
know.
returning in the sequels, and Darth Talon as like basically the Vader, the Darth Vader of that trilogy. Plus, Mara Jade was also going to be in it as well. So maybe they'll throw in things like that into that movie. But anyways, uh, I think that they're like I was saying, I think that Ahsoka and Sabine are gonna have to find a way. Either they're going to have to live and learn with their new surroundings and just stay there, or they're going to go back and try and see if they can help everybody out with Thrawn or something like that.
Yeah, super excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu, like you mentioned. But quickly, when you were talking about the actor obviously passed away. Blanking on the name, unfortunately.
Ray
Stevenson.
Stevenson.
Ray Stevenson. Yes, I knew that. I don't know what was going on. Here's the thing. So they've obviously done deepfakes and CGI and stuff to cover up or to make characters from scratch completely. But they've never been the main characters. Even Luke, he was in like an episode or two, right, of Book of Boba
True.
Fett,
Yeah.
and Balin Skull is one of the main characters in Ahsoka. So I don't think they do that. So the main things I'm thinking they're gonna do is kill him off or recast. Um, but I'm definitely excited to see what they do with that. Yeah, super excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu. Will, would you like to quickly give your thoughts on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie?
So, James, you saying that movie is going to be called Heir to the Empire. I can't tell you how excited I am about that. That was, uh, um, I haven't read it, but I know that that's the name of the first um, book of the original Star Wars trilogy that the author Timothy Zahn wrote, which was I guess the book version of the prequel trilogy before Disney went off and did
Yeah.
their own things with the Ray-led sequel trilogy. But my thought on the Mandalorian and Grogu, them having their own movie together, fantastic. But like my worry, and this is why, James, I'm so excited that you revealed that Heir to the Empire may be the title of the movie. I am so happy to hear that because I don't know about you guys, but the Mandalorian and Grogu, I was not a fan of that title at all. It
I was
just did
fine with
not.
it.
I just think, but for me, it just did not roll off the tongue
Yeah.
well for me. It just like I just didn't think it was a great movie title. So I'm so happy to hear that it seems like they're going to be changing that because I loved everything about them getting a movie, but my only issue was I just wasn't a big fan of the title. But I'm thrilled to hear that the title's going to be different. Thrilled to hear that.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And actually, guys, that about wraps up this episode of the Everything Podcast. James, thank you so much for joining us. Pleasure to
And thank you.
have you on. No problem. We'd love to have you back on again. This was fantastic. Will, thanks for joining me as always, and thank you guys for watching. But that's it, guys. Have a great day.